2025. Please rise. Start with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike, could you please take roll?
Kendrick Davis.
Here.
Josh Fedor.
Present.
David Franz.
Present.
Jim Hurst.
Present.
Brad Johnson.
Present.
Andrew Cossack.
Present.
Nick Plopper.
Present.
All right, there all members are here. In your packet, there was a set of minutes from the April 21st, 2025 meeting. Is there any comments, additions, deletions to those minutes? If there are none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Minutes are approved. Continuances or withdrawal request, 2025-4508, Zionsville zoning ordinance amendments, Town of Zionsville. Request for recommendations to the Town Council to amend various sections of the Zionsville zoning ordinance to establish regulations regarding accessory dwelling units, ADU 2, agritourism, and zoning code enforcement penalties. The amendment would provide new regulations for and repeal and/or replace various sections relating to the aforementioned items. Roger, Mike, do you have any comments on this one?
Both the town council and the mayor's office has requested the plan commission to continue that item to allow the both of them to further discuss the contents and merits of the ordinance.
Questions, comments from any members of the plan commission? I'll bring this up now. The June 16th meeting, there may be 2 or 3 people missing that meeting. I'll be out of town. Mike, or Jim will be out of town.
I'll be out of town.
Oh, so there's 4. So we're not even gonna, so we're gonna have to figure out something. And anyway, on this one, I would say we would continue this to the July meeting at the earliest anyway, just to make sure they have time to comment.
Are we tabling
discuss.
this one, and do we have to, we table it, do we have to declare when we're open it back up again, or?
Yeah, you could do either. They're asking you to continue it, table it.
Okay.
You could wait until they have comments back, or you can set a definitive date.
What's the- Roger, do you know what the July meeting is?
21st.
July 21st. All right, I think we're gonna have to have a separate discussion when we get done about the June meeting, the potential for potentially moving it, so we would have a quorum, but we can discuss that at the end. So I would ask for a motion to continue 2025-4508 to the July 21st meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay?
Nay.
All right, 6-1, that motion is continued to July. 2025-24 OA, Zionsville zoning ordinance amendments, returned from town council for amendments. Consideration of the town council's amendment of a zoning ordinance amendment to change the approval process for development plans. IC 36-7-4607. So once again, the town has requested that we continue this. And this is the one where we are putting language in there that would allow the staff to handle more administrative type development plan petitions. I believe the town is asking they would prefer that we keep them open for everything for commentary. Is that a fair statement?
I think that's the direction they're heading. They want more time to look through the ordinance and consider other alternate options rather than what's proposed right now. So they need more time to talk with the mayor's office.
Okay. Anyone have any questions, comments on this one?
I watched the town council, not this morning's, but the previous meeting when they discussed it, and I had an idea. If we get a letter of remonstration on a project, that would automatically kick it to a hearing at the planning commission. Would that be something we could look at adding, or maybe
Yeah.
a plus? Or
But it would have
that
to
would
be,
solve some of the problem.
but would that kick it to the next month, though, because of the notice requirement?
It depends how we do this. It probably would be kicked to the next month, the way this would work out, yeah.
Letter of remonstrance came in, but.
Right.
So if we would, so on the agenda, we would put to be heard, and then we'd have another section that the planning department handled, and they would list those items.
Yes.
And then if they had if there's remonstrance, we would then continue that matter.
Continue to the next month and have an actual hearing on it.
We're looking at variations on that theme
Okay.
right now.
So
It's
how,
a novel idea, but I would have a concern that people that are trying to get developments done, because somebody sent a letter in, they now lose another month.
Well, but again, I think some of the stuff that we put relative to the size requirements, a true development's not gonna get, I mean, that's gonna get heard anyway.
Or approved administratively. It's a small.
Well,
small
well,
project.
yeah, if it's,
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk like a development plan for, you know, a minor subdivision or something along that line, so. But you're right, I mean, somebody could request a continuance, so it'd have to be a valid or, well, so if we, had letter of remonstrance, would we require them to, well, I'm not gonna,
I was thinking the same thing. Are we going to actually require them to give reason for the remonstration, or simply say that we want this to be heard from the planning commission level? Like I said, I thought it through quite a bit. I definitely want people who have a concern, to be heard, but at the same time, we need some sort of way of streamlining some of this process. So,
what was the official action of the town council at that meeting?
A continuance.
Okay, so they didn't send it back to us, they just
Not yet.
continued it? Okay. All right.
Really, it sounds like they have, the council and the mayor's office need some more time on all of these things. And so I don't, continuing, I mean,
the next one's not, the next one, they just sent it back rejected, but, we'll deal with that one. Is there, I mean, is everybody open to continuing this to the July 21st meeting? I mean, we're just stacking it up, I mean, it's
Well-
gonna get.
So in-
So since they have not formally sent it back yet,
Okay.
they have 90 days tacked on it. So it might behoove you to wait until they send it back, or.
Okay, so that we don't need to do anything with this one?
No.
Okay. All right, because there wasn't an official,
There wasn't an official response. They didn't send back
Right.
Okay.
acceptance, rejection,
okay.
changes, specific changes. They just want to work through them, so I think it would probably be in your best interest to wait until you get that official response.
We'll leave this open until we get an official response, which they now have 60 days, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Clock's ticking.
All right. Next one is 2025-2608, which is Zionsville zoning ordinance amendments. Consideration of town council's rejection of a zoning ordinance amendment to change the approval process for outdoor dining in the village business district, IC 36-7-4-607. All right, so they flat out rejected the amendment, or, so can you want to explain
Yes.
what they're saying?
Yes, the Indiana statute says that on a zoning ordinance amendment, the town or the legislative body can either, can accept, reject, or amend. In this case, they just rejected the proposed ordinance. The statute then says that the town council must return the ordinance to the plan commission for its consideration.
Okay. And our options are what on this one? Accept it and kill it.
By accepting their rejection, so to speak, then that's done, then the
Okay.
ordinance is done.
Or we can kick it back to them, say, no, this is the way it should be.
Yes.
Yes,
So-
those are your two options.
Okay. And, well, so when there is one of this that comes before us in the village business district, currently it goes to the BZA, and if it's certain size, then it will be required to come to the, if it gets approved by the BZA, and if it's a certain size or whatever, it then is required to come to the Plan Commission, correct?
Yes, if the outdoor seating would be deemed to be increasing the intensity of the use.
Okay.
It would need to come back to the Plan Commission then for a development plan or development plan amendment.
How is that defined? Increasing the intensity of the use?
Love to say it's on page 47 of the definitions, but it's not. And so there is some discretion or determination made by staff kind of formulates an idea, we present it to the director, and then that's where the determination is made.
What was our reasoning for denying it?
They believe, the town council, as I understand, rejected the ordinance because they favor the transparency of a public hearing through the BZA for outdoor seating. So they think they believe there's value in even to invite the public to comment or have an opportunity to comment on outdoor seating proposals in the VBD.
But part of this was to help clear up the language where the BZA was making decisions on on property that's in the right of way, correct?
That's part B
That
of
was,
it, yes.
yeah, that was part of trying to clean up the language on that, so that from the BZA standpoint, we weren't making decisions on areas that are under the Department of Public Works, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so we really don't have much say on what goes on in the public right of way.
Though they liked, the town council actually had no problem with that particular part of the ordinance, but they were not supportive of removing the BZA from the approval process.
Mr. Dale, do you think the town council is aware that there are properties not in compliance with our ordinance now that would be required to file BZA and maybe Plan Commission paperwork?
Yeah. I have had conversations, I'm not quite sure what the town council's knowledge level is in that respect. Yep.
It'd be a huge help.
Closer?
Move your microphone either closer to you.
Yes.
All right.
It's not picking up very well for recording.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So I can't speak to the town council's level of understanding on this.
The vote unanimous to continue, to deny this?
I believe it was a split vote.
So without this ordinance amendment, if someone wanted to have outdoor seating, the process would be to go before the BZA and ask for a special use variance?
Special exception, yes.
Special exception.
And they have increased intensity, which, I don't, it seems like pretty much any time they add seating, it's probably going to increase intensity, so it's going to come to us for approval. So,
That's correct, I believe.
And again, I believe there are there's current outdoor seating that is in violation of the variance.
Right, to our knowledge, there are,
I'm not asking who.
okay.
so if we modified this, they would just come to the staff and get approval. Is it pretty much it, right?
If the ordinance was
Yeah,
approved?
yeah.
Right, then it would be an administrative approval. It's subject to development plan approval by the Plan Commission.
Thoughts?
Mike, have there been any that have not risen to the level of needing the development plan in the past, that they got approved through the BZA and didn't then come back to the Plan Commission, or have they all in recent past come back to the Plan Commission for?
Roger may have a better handle on that question.
I believe that every case has had to come back to the Plan Commission for development plan approval. The only one I'm questioning is a situation where during COVID, a restaurant wanted to add outdoor seating on its rooftop. And that still required the special exception. And I'm not remembering clearly if that then also had to go before the Plan Commission for Development Plan or not. But I can say that the other ones that I am recalling that had regular outdoor seating down on ground level have come before the Plan Commission for DP approval, or DPA approval.
Have there been any that have gone in front of the BZA that did not get approved?
None that I can recall.
And then none that I can recall that came before us.
So
So-
precedent really is that if they are reasonable with what they're requesting, they're getting those approved, and instead of us just having staff administer those, we're asking for 2 approval processes.
And that's just simply so public can have input, is why they're wanting it to go through that?
Yes, primarily. Yeah.
And they're wanting to put outdoor seating on land that they own?
Yes. In some cases, it may be in the right-of-way, that the city may encroach into the right-of-way, but if that were the case, then there would be an additional encroachment permit process. I would say in addition, the town council also just highly supports transparency. And so, yes, the process of notifying the public, even if they're not going to remonstrate, the process of just letting the public know that there's a request for outdoor seating through the public noticing for the hearing, they believe that has value.
But just to make sure, that's on land that they own?
Yes.
We're asking them to come get approval to rearrange seating outside versus inside,
To add seating to the outside, yes.
on land they own? Okay.
Roger, in the BZA filings for outdoor seating, has there been much remonstration or public interest in that?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. I get transparency, but you could make that argument for about anything that's administrative. So you guys have a list of permitted uses, and if they come in and they're doing a pet store and it falls under retail, you are administratively approving that pet store instead of asking the public for, I mean, do we send everything to the BZA for that public hearing? I just don't see this being controversial. I just see it as another land use. And honestly, we want the vibrancy in the downtown. The outdoor
with that,
seating
yeah.
adds that vibrancy. And to ask people to come in for 2 hearings, the cost of it as well as the time, well, that's just, I don't know. I'm wondering if we can make a few changes to it and send it back.
My understanding, and the attorney can correct me, but the only options you have are 2, accept
I
or reject.
understand, but we could
Okay.
redraft and hold another public hearing
Okay,
for a
okay.
new ordinance.
A new
and-
docket, yeah, for
yes,
that. Okay, gotcha. Yes, excuse
We
me.
would start new, but it's more or less recycle the good
Yes.
parts and change a few things and send it back. And I'd be glad to be a representative of the Plan Commission and go to the meeting and try to explain why we think it's important. I don't know if that's ever happened
What
before.
would we
or not,
change? I'm trying to
The
understand.
only thing I could think, I mean, did they say anything about the differentiation between seating and like displaying merchandise? Like, do they just not want like shirts on the street on hangers, or is it? Because I didn't watch their meeting, so I apologize.
No, there was no differentiation.
Okay.
If I can,
Yes.
there was this dealt specifically with outdoor seating. Where this is currently addressed within the zoning ordinance, those 2 uses, outdoor seating and outdoor display of merchandise, are very close together within the ordinance. What was proposed was exclusively just for the outdoor seating. Outdoor display of merchandise would still require a special exception. If what was forwarded from the Plan Commission to the Town Council, if that had been adopted, outdoor display of merchandise would still have required a special exception.
So, procedurally, if we send this back, and say, no, we're not accepting the denial, then the town council then gives it a final rejection or an acceptance.
Yes.
And then, is there like is there a requirement that we can't deal with this again for another year, or can we take another shot at it? I mean, what's the situation on that? Or is this like our normal limitations on any denial? It's another, basically it sets it up for a year.
Yeah, that's only for an application denial.
Okay.
That's my recollection anyway. I believe that's correct.
I'm trying to understand, I don't see how we would modify this, to be perfectly honest.
That's rather binary.
Yeah, it's, BZA hears it, comes to us, or we do this. I mean, I don't know if there's a middle ground.
We remove the development standard, or the development plan requirement.
That's,
I mean, we
It's
don't really
interesting.
have per the ordinance, we
Actually,
don't.
that's on the table. That was the first item,
Yes, I
2408. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes,
But we could possibly isolate that, exempt that from having to come back here.
true.
I mean, if the BZA has already held a public hearing, public notice, why make them do it again? I trust the BZA to make good decisions there.
so in this case, if we wanted to modify it, we'd have to accept the denial, then start the process again.
I might suggest that you can still start the process again at the July meeting and send this back and see what they say in the meantime. If they reject it, we can set it up to rewrite it in July. The June meetings,
TBD.
yeah.
All right, so what do we want to do on this one? Do we have any motions or motion?
Just if I can interrupt, sorry.
sure.
I was just trying to double check the state code, and it does say that if the legislative body rejects or amends the proposal, then you have 45 days in which to take action.
So when did the problem is if we don't have a quorum in June, we're not going to be able to take action by then anyway. So July would be 75 days if they did this 2 weeks ago. So I don't think that's going to work. So I don't want to have a special meeting just for this one to meet 45 days.
And I think we send it back to them. I mean, I understand the transparency part of it, but they also have already purchased that property or leased that property for that intended use. It's theirs, they own it. To have
think-
public comment on,
Well, and I think people welcome additional seating
absolutely.
at the restaurants.
And it makes the village more vibrant, like you said, welcoming, doesn't seem like a ghost town because everyone's crammed inside and.
And an excellent point was made. There are plenty of things that get decided administratively,
Yeah.
and this seems one of those things that could be.
So if we were going to push this back, we would reject, what the phrasing of the motion would be to reject the denial and send it back to the town council.
So moved. A second.
Second. Let's take a roll call on this one, just for official sake.
David Franz,
Aye.
Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Brad Johnson,
Aye.
Andrew Cossack,
Aye.
Nick Plopper,
Aye.
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Kendrick Davis.
Aye.
All right, that motion passes 7-0. And now, does the town now have 90 days again to address this, or they have to do it next earliest convenience? Is that how it works, or within 30 days?
I believe they also have 45.
45
I'm looking
days.
at that right
Okay.
now.
All right.
Can I ask a question of Mike? So we had the development plan for Gables Bagels that had outdoor seating at our last meeting. Do they now have to go, after we did that, did they have to go to the BZA before that or after that for their outdoor seating?
I think they received their
They already
variance
had it?
before, yeah.
Okay.
All right. On to the next one, 2025-14 DP Bradley Ridge Development LLC, Bradley Ridge, Section 1C, 1310 US 421, Zionsville, Indiana, development plan for a 75-lot, single-family residential development on a 39.1 acre being zoned planned unit development, Bradley Ridge PUD. Roger?
Yes, sir.
Roger, go ahead.
Thank you. For those that can recall last month's meeting, this presentation will be very similar to that was presented for Bradley Ridge Sections 1A and 1B. This is Section 1C. For your reference, on the screen I have the location map, where again the outline of Bradley Ridge is in white. It is bordered on the north by 100 South, bordered on the south by 200 South, bordered on the west by County Road 950 East, and on the east by US 421 or Michigan Road. As mentioned last month, you heard the development plan petitions for Section 1A, which is outlined in green. You also heard the petition for Section 1B, which is this area which is west of Eagle Creek. And tonight, the petition is for Section 1C, which is this area located down in the southeastern portion of Bradley Ridge. This area does include frontage on County Road 200 South. The entirety of the site is part of the Bradley Ridge PUD, and it was zoned as a PUD. Moving on, again, this just black and white drawing to kind of clearly show the distinction between the three sections that have been considered so far. These other areas that are not outlined, those are future sections that will be coming to you at some point in the future. They're just not under consideration at that time. You can see though that the relationship between Section 1A and 1C, there will be connecting roads in between on one of those future sections. To go through quickly some of the drawings that have been provided, and again, the number of drawings for this size of a project were rather substantial, so I'm only providing examples of what was provided. But as a point of orientation, here's the main entry from US 421 into Bradley Ridge, and Section 1C is really starting in this area. This other portion that you see was part of 1A from last month. And again, here it continues down, so we have a number of lots down here. The total number of lots in this section would be 75 single-family lots, and the total acreage of this section is 39.1 acres. Again, as mentioned, this section has an entry from County Road 200 South depicted here, and they provided an enlargement of that. So as people are leaving Bradley Ridge, there would be two lanes coming out, one providing left turn, one providing right turn, and this is also showing the decel lanes to turn into Bradley Ridge. Should also be noted that this is depicting sidewalks, the required perimeter sidewalks around a subdivision that would be constructed along 200 South. The single-family detached residential subdivision is a permitted use within the residential and lifestyle use block of the Bradley Ridge PUD. The submitted development plans do comply with road frontage, minimum lot size, required yard setbacks, and lighting. There are two topics of interest that I want to bring back, which again are the same as what was mentioned in last month's presentation. First is landscaping. The petitioners provide a landscaping package, but addresses only street trees. The landscaping package does not address perimeter buffering, specifically along the frontage of County Road 200 South. The proposed street tree plantings comply with the requirements of Bradley Ridge PUD, but a final landscaping plan addressing perimeter buffering along all of the development's frontages, US 421, County Road 950 East, and County Road 200 South is still needed. The second item of interest is regarding sanitary sewers. The Bradley Ridge PUD district is within the service territory of Hamilton Southeastern Utilities. Prior to the approval and recording of the secondary plats for sections 1A and 1B. And I'm trying to recall, have we done 1C yet? We have not. We have not done 1C. Regardless, the developer, Hankey Development, and Hamilton Southeastern Utilities entered into an agreement which stated terms and conditions for the extension of sanitary sewer services to the Bradley Ridge site. Included in the signed agreement was the statement, quote, "The installation of the sanitary infrastructure by Hankey must be in advance of Hankey seeking building permits. Individual home connections will be permitted as built once all in-ground infrastructure is installed and testing is complete. HSE, or Hamilton Southeastern, has no obligation to make sewer connections or provide sewer service unless the infrastructure is properly installed in accordance with HSE's design standards. HSE will not allow pump and haul to serve the lots," end quote. Staff supports the conditional approval of the proposed development plan subject to the conditions that the landscaping plan addressing perimeter buffering along County Road, along the frontage of County Road 200 South be provided. Resolution to any outstanding review items which are identified in the comment letters attached to the staff report as Exhibits 5A, 5B, and 5C, and substantial compliance with the submitted development plan. With that, I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
I got a quick comment before we go to the petitioner. Should that also include that small section of 421 that's in Section 1C for the frontage, for the landscape on the frontage?
Excellent catch. Thank you.
All right. All right, petitioner, are they present? Would they like to add anything?
Good evening, everyone. Betsy Garfield with Hankey Development Group. Thank you, Roger, for the great explanation. So as you said, we're just, incorporating 1C and been working with staff. So here if you have any other questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. At this point, is there anybody in the public who'd like to comment on this matter? Being none, I'll open it up to members of the Plan Commission.
There were some commitments made on sections, the other two sections we approved last time, about some potential invasive species trees. Are those commitments being made on this one as well?
We have not received any additional materials for this. However, I would suggest that similar comment or similar conditions as those that were applied to 1A, Section 1A and 1B should also be applied to 1C.
Should that be part of the motion?
Yes.
Anybody else? If not, is there a motion on this matter?
I move that docket number 2025-14-DP, a development plan, section 1C, Bradley Ridge subdivision for a 75-lot, single-family residential development on 39.1 acres, be conditionally approved based on the findings as presented in the staff report and at the meeting. A landscaping plan addressing perimeter buffering along the frontage of County Road 200 South. Resolution of outstanding review items identified in the comment letters, Exhibits 5A, 5B, and 5C, and substantial compliance with the submitted development plan.
Yeah, we need amend to add after County Road 200 South and 421 frontage. And we need to add language relative to the commitments.
Native species, Indiana native plants, and not the ginkgos, I think were particularly one that they were asking to not have in the plan. But I think our last motion for A and B said Indiana native plants.
All right, so do you accept those modifications?
I incorporate the stated language into my motion.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Mike, would you please take roll?
Nate Plopper.
Aye.
Josh Fedor.
Aye.
Kendrick Davis.
Aye.
David Franz,
Aye.
Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Brad Johnson,
Aye.
Andrew Cossack.
All right, petition is passed, 7-0. Thank you very much. On to new business. 2025-29 DP, Old Town Companies LLC, Wild Air Archer Park, Wild Air Development, Zionsville, Indiana. Development plan review of 3.88 acre park in Wild Air, part of Lot 7 being in the Wild Air PUD districts. Roger, you got this one, or? Okay.
Thank you. As mentioned, the petition before you is for development plan approval for a 3.88 acre park to be built within the Wild Air PUD. The park is to be known as Archer Park. On the screen, for your reference, is a location map. This site is within the kind of the heart or core of the Wild Air development. You see Marysville Road, which runs north-south through the middle of the project. Again, the project does span both sides of Marysville Road. The subject site location is also north of Oak Street. It will be immediately south of the previously approved coffee shop and ice cream kiosk. It is located just to the southwest of the clubhouse location, south of the apartment area, and east of the Johnson Nature Preserve, which is off on the opposite side of Marysville Road. On the zoning map, you'll see that the entire area, not only of the site, but also the surrounding properties immediately abutting it, are within the Wild Air PUD. For orientation purposes of the overall development, again, Marysville Road runs north-south through the development, and the center core commons is right here in the middle. Again, that will primarily be housing apartments, of which a couple of the buildings have retail on the first floor. It will also house the clubhouse area here. It will, as mentioned earlier, the ice cream kiosk and coffee shop will be immediately north, and the Archer Park area is outlined in white, this white dotted line that I have. The park area will include a playground, splash pad area, 4 pickleball courts, 2 dog park areas, and wetland areas. Paved and natural paths will wind through the park area, connecting to the pathway system within Wild Air and along Marysville Road. The play area will include quarry block seat walls. They will be provided around the playground area, and a public restroom will be constructed in the northeast corner of the park area. Just to outline the park area, it is this area. And the restroom building would be located here. Playground and splash pad here. We have 2, as I mentioned, dog park areas here, pickleball courts here, and again, some of the apartment buildings are here located around this perimeter. This is a depiction of the public restroom building. Will be constructed on the northeast corner of the park. The architecture of this building will continue the farm-style design, which is similar to the nearby coffee shop and ice cream kiosk. The proposed building utilizes a variety of materials and colors. The primary exterior material of the restroom will be stained cedar wood siding with a stone veneer around the building's base. A standing seam metal roof will be utilized for the structure. The only item that staff would suggest the Planning Commission consider is some additional bicycle parking. There is bicycle parking out near the restroom facility here. Staff would also recommend or suggest maybe another stand of bicycle parking stalls somewhere near the pickleball courts. With that, staff supports approval of the proposed development plan with the recommendation to add bicycle parking near the pickleball courts. I'll be
All right,
glad
thank
to
you.
answer questions.
Thank you, Roger. Does the petitioner have anything to add?
I'm Ryan Wire with Old Town Companies, and I'll just add that we are willing to commit to add bicycle parking beside the pickleball courts.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody here who'd like to comment on this from the public? Being none, I'll open this up to members of the Planning Commission. If there's no comments, is there a motion? The additional bicycle parking, I mean, that's really not, I mean, can we just state the petitioner in the motion, the petitioner has agreed to add additional parking versus a commitment, so, all right. All right, somebody would like to make a motion?
I would move that docket number 2025-29-DP Development Plan for a 3.88 acre park be approved based on findings in the staff report and the staff recommendations and submitted findings of fact, and acknowledging that the petitioner has made a commitment for additional bicycle parking near the pickleball courts.
Is there a second?
Second. That was, okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? If none, Mike, would you please take a roll?
Brad Johnson.
Aye.
Kendrick Davis.
Aye.
Andrew Cossack.
Aye.
Nick Plopper.
Aye.
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
David Franz.
Aye.
Josh Fedor.
Aye.
All right, that motion is approved 7-0. Thank you. Next on the docket, 2025-31 DPA, Lee Kleiner, Dairy Queen Outdoor Seating, 340 South, First Street, Zionsville. Development plan amendment to add outdoor seating to an existing restaurant being in the urban outdoor business B3 districts. Jody, you got this
one's
one?
mine.
All right.
Thank you. Yep, this one is pretty straightforward. It is adding some outdoor seating to the existing Dairy Queen. On your screen is the site of the existing Dairy Queen downtown. It's bordered by, well, the address is 340 South First Street. This is First Street and Hawthorne here. The subject zoning is B3, but it is surrounded by downtown businesses. There's RV, which is residential, and village residential in this area here. The proposal is really to add 3 tables with 4 seats, so it's typical outdoor patio. There's an example of what the petitioner would like to add. And just the petitioner's drawing of, this is the existing Dairy Queen, and out here is First Street. So in this area here, there's an existing planter. So this area here is where they would be adding the 3 tables. They're also adding some lighting, and let me see if I put I did not. Outdoor lighting underneath this canopy here, just to add to the safety and convenience of the folks using the tables. These wall packs do conform with the full cutoff, and we do have a photometric showing the light meets the requirements at the property edge. We are recommending approval of this project. It's been reviewed at TAC, and there are no outstanding comments there. With that, I'm happy to answer questions or let the petitioner come, and I think he is remote.
The petitioner, are you online? If so, you can introduce yourself, and if you have any additional comments at this time. Nobody's, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's, all right. Oh, here we go. I heard a hold on. Hello? Are you muted on your end? I can't tell. We're still not picking you up on our end. Okay.
Communicate by closed caption.
We have a visual, but no audio.
Yeah,
Prepare for feedback in 5.
looks like he just froze up. Technology's wonderful when it doesn't work, right? I'm assuming that's Lee Kleiner, is that correct?
Yes, that's Lee
Okay,
Kleiner, yeah.
all right. All right. You want to try to say something now? Oh, you can't hear us either?
You can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you now.
There he
Okay,
is.
I got you now. Okay, I can hear you. Are there any questions?
No, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, yeah, my name is Lee Kleiner. I'm the owner of the Zionsville Dairy Queen.
All right, so you have nothing to add to the staff report?
I do not know.
Okay, all right, thanks. If we have any questions, we'll let you know.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
All righty, have a good one.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, bye-bye.
All right, is there any comments, questions from any of the members of the Plan Commission?
I have a question. So I don't see that this petition went before the BZA before it wound its way here. So how is
Different
this?
zoning district, it's B3.
Oh, okay, so we're going to hear about that.
Well, I mean, you want to answer that, Jody?
Yeah, in the B3 zoning district, outdoor seating is permitted.
It's administrative.
Yeah, this could have been administrative. So.
Because it's just outside of the village
Yeah.
village district.
Even though it's residential village.
Oh, that's right, yeah, sorry about that. Is there anybody in the members of the public who'd like to comment on this matter? All right, they passed on that also, so sorry about that. A little out of order a little bit. Anything else? If not, is there a motion on this matter?
I move that docket number 2025-31-DPA Development Plan Amendment to add outdoor seating area and site lighting to existing development in the B3 zoning district be approved based on the findings and as presented in the staff report and at the meeting. That's it.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Mike, would you please take roll?
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
Kendrick Davis,
Aye.
David Franz,
Aye.
Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Brad Johnson,
Aye.
Andrew Cossack.
Aye.
Nick Plopper.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. It's approved. Next on the docket, 2025-32 DP Goodwill of Central and Southern Indiana Goodwill Retail Store, 5900 West 96th Street, Zionsville. Development plan for a 14,300 plus minus square foot retail store on 2.39 acres in the rural local business, rural LB district. Jody?
This one is mine as well.
Okay.
As you mentioned, it is for a brand-new, oh, sorry, I'll wait for the stuff, there we go. This is approval for a brand-new Goodwill retail store site at the Northwest Technology Center Commercial Industrial Subdivision. It is the last vacant lot. And the zoning, although the rest of the Technology Center is zoned industrial, this is zoned LB along with this northern property as well. Across the street to the south in Marion County and across the street to the east also as part of the Technology Center. It's a fairly straightforward project, building in the middle, 96th Street here, Zionsville Road here. The entrance to the site will be on 96th Street. There's an existing drive here. The building up front, parking, commercial parking up to the side and the front. This would be the front entrance. And then the donation canopy would be back here on the, let's see, north, southwest side, with the truck loading dock here to accept the larger donations. Oh, this is the fire emergency maneuvering exhibit. So you can just see how they can move in here. They can travel around here. There's 360-degree travel way for the largest piece of equipment. So there's adequate maneuvering space for emergency vehicles. This is the, pardon me, photometrics. So this does show, it's hard to see from here, but hopefully you can see and blow up on your iPads that the full cutoff is there, and the photometrics show that the light spill at the property line is adequate and complies with the zoning ordinance. And landscaping has been provided in accordance with the ordinance. So there was a couple of BZA variances granted to reduce the side yard setback on 96th Street, as well as here on Zionsville Road, to allow for parking to occur. The building is set way back from those setbacks. That's pretty straightforward. I don't have any additional, that's the architecture, the building materials and the colors there. It is showing signage on the canopies and on the facades. The signage would be permitted under a different permit, different separate permit that's reviewed by staff. As shown, it doesn't quite comply with the ordinance, so there will have to be some modifications to this, but I'm happy to answer questions. Went through that quickly, or turn it over to the petitioner.
All right. Do you have anything to add about the conditional part of this, the resolution of outstanding review items?
Oh, yeah, sorry, the staff recommendation. There were a few technical comments from DPW when it went through TAC. So there's just those things that always are hanging out that aren't quite tidied up by the time it gets to the Plan Commission, but will be during the construction plan phase and before any CFOs are issued.
Okay, thank you. Does the petitioner have anything to add? Please state the name and proceed.
Jared Rains, Senior Director of Risk Management, Facility Management, and Real Estate for Goodwill of Central and Southern Indiana.
And my name's Brian Sheward. I'm with Kimley Horn & Associates. I'm the civil engineer on the project. Our offices are at 500 East 96th Street, Suite 300. I'm going to put this, see if I can. There we go. So I'll do this relatively quickly, but and Jody did a great job on this. So I did want to mention that our general contractor on this project is Compass Commercial Construction Group. Representatives on the line if there's any specific questions about that. Really quickly, again, Jody did a nice job with this. The site's on the northwest corner. This is a bit of a zoom in, so you can see right there at Zionsville Road and 96th Street's on the south. Approximately just under about a 2.5 acre property. And with this project, as we went through the TAC process, the town had informed us that we would need to dedicate some right-of-way along 96th Street as well. So about 0.2 acres of right-of-way dedication is on the site plan that may not have been seen. But as a retail store, we're providing the adequate amount of parking, about 77 total parking spaces. That's a few additional beyond what's required and suitable for Goodwill's needs. And then those are the two BZA petitions. I guess it's not what we're here for tonight, but to clarify that, there was a plat historically that it just said setback, but it didn't define if that was a building setback, if it was a yard. It was ambiguous and vague. So staff had indicated that it would probably be best measured to come before the BZA and request that. We believe it was inferred that it was a building setback, but we came before the BZA, and this was around December when we got that clarified. And then the second thing is on the east side of the site, there was an existing water main that ran along the west side of Zionsville Road. We found through the process that citizens didn't actually have an easement that was a formal citizen's easement. So we went through and cleaned that up, and then we had to come and ask for a variance because although citizens is fine with landscaping in their easement as long as it's within or more than 5 feet away from a water line, the town's ran into issues with this in the past, so we got permission to put landscaping in that easement with citizens' acceptance, with the presumption that if they ever need to get into their facility, the trees go away, and they're gonna pay to put it back. So 2 little back histories. I think this plan is probably a little easier potentially to see where there's some color added. You can see the building, which is just over 14,000 square feet, is in the middle. The western portion, I don't want to say half, but a little less than half, is a warehouse space that also applies to product comes in off the donations. There's a warehouse portion, and then the eastern portion is the storefront. That's where someone would come in and shop. So there's kind of 2 sides to the building inside. The trailer, or not the trailer, but the loading dock is conveniently tucked into the back, so you're not going to see that from 96th or Zionsville Road. I'd like to say that was super intentional, but it just is the way that it works when a semi-truck comes in. It was one of the few ways we could get a truck to come in and be able to maneuver the site. And you can see the 96th Street entry, barely see, but we're going to widen that entry out a bit to the east to accommodate that westbound right turn lane. And there's a existing access easement that exists on the western property line where the Browning building used to be. I think it still says Browning across the front facade. There's also a shared access easement that was preset on the north side with the building just to our northeast. That is a shared drive there on the north. We're going to be adding a sidewalk along 96th Street. That was something that you can see there, which will be a nice amenity to the area. This is the engineered plan. So same picture, but black and white. And then this is the top is what you'll see when you're standing on Zionsville Road looking west. That'll be the front facade. The next image down is what you'll see from 96th Street looking north. So you'll notice there's a donation sign above the canopy on the left. As Roger mentioned, we understand getting sign permits is separate, and we'll work through that process. The next image down is from the north, really probably not going to be predominantly seen from either Zionsville or 96th. And then the bottom image is from the west. You can see the 2 loading bays there on the left side, and then the donations canopy for drop-offs there. Staff recommends approval for, it's a by right use, it's retail. We pretty much matched all the rules at play in terms of the bulk standards. And we're here to answer any questions if you have, or if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody in the public who'd like to comment on this matter? I'll open up to members of the Planning Commission.
Your dumpster is going to be on the north end of the building?
Don't have an exterior dumpster.
Do not have?
We
Okay.
don't utilize trash pickup, so we operate 3 outlets here in town. We centralize all our trash from all of our stores to the outlets, keeps the cost down and keeps our retail locations looking clean.
Okay.
No mention to Mr. Franz, the outstanding comments, there were 2. One was to add gore striping in the middle of 96th Street, which has already been added. And I think there was one other item we've already resubmitted back to George Lewis on that,
Okay.
so I think we're
All right,
close.
thanks.
I noticed on the plans that we have ginkgos being proposed as one of the plant materials. We have denied those from some other projects because they're not native and because of some of the negative characteristics of those plants. Is it possible to get a replacement option?
I would be happy to, yeah, absolutely.
I would just suggest any kind of native Indiana canopy tree.
Sure.
Oaks, maples, whatever.
I mean, there's 2 other Goodwills relatively nearby. You've got one on Michigan, and then you've got one out in Whitestown. Just kind of curious how this site was selected.
So there's really 2 parts to our business. If you're not familiar with Goodwill, it's really, we talk about the donation side and we talk about the sales side. We feel really comfortable with the amount of stores we have to kind of generate our revenue to support all the mission elements that we have. The lifeblood of everything that Goodwill does is based off of donations. We can't operate our stores without donations. So this corridor is really vital for our donation acquisition, the amount of traffic, the amount of people coming in and out of Zionsville, traveling to Indianapolis for work, play, pleasure. So this location was selected as one of those corridors that we haven't yet captured. We're getting a little bit more aggressive with our real estate strategy, so we're really looking at 2.5, 3.5 mile radiuses to make sure that we have a good concentration of stores for our customers as well as our donors.
Okay, just kind of curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. The, I don't know how normal it is, so the east elevation is what everybody will see traveling in and out of Zionsville, correct? Is there a reason that the fire escape is present right there at the very front of the?
Yeah, that's actually in the back of the building. So,
It would not be there.
yeah, well, you'll see, it's kind of a little bit with my cursor. So what you're seeing is the projection to this back bump out, and that element's actually on the back wall. So I know it's a little.
It'd be on the north wall, right?
It'd be on the north wall.
Yeah, it's on that north elevation 3, but it's also on 4, so I didn't.
Right, if you were perfectly square, I guess, with the building looking that direction, it's
Okay.
kind of in relief behind or.
Okay, I see what you're saying now, okay.
Anybody else? If not, is there a motion on this matter?
I move that docket number 2025-32-DP Development Plan Approval for a 14,342 square foot Goodwill retail store and associated site amenities located on Lot 7 of the Northwest Technology Center subdivision be conditionally approved based on the findings in the staff report and the staff recommendations. The submitted findings of fact, subject to the resolution of outstanding review items identified by the Department of Public Works comment letter Exhibit 5, and any noted during the meeting. And the
Use of
use of
Indiana
native
trees.
Indiana trees be supplemented.
Have a second, any further discussion?
I'd like to ask a question. Is there a requirement for this particular site to have four-sided architecture? Is that in our ordinance at all? Okay. I just honestly don't love the
pretty
south-facing wall
plain,
being
yeah.
just solid, very long facade without much relief to it. It would be great if we could get windows, even faux windows there. That's a very heavily traveled, and it's a very prominent corner for the town of Zionsville. It's literally one of our premium lots that are still available, and to put in an architecture that across a parking lot looks nice, but not really along the street. Is that?
Well, we currently have a motion, so.
Yeah,
if we
I
wanna-
understand.
I mean, if we want to further discuss this, we'd have to pull the motion. Is that? So are we open to, does the second accept withdrawing the motion?
I'll withdraw my motion.
And then, okay, we've got that. So go ahead, open it back up.
Thank you. Again, I just am stewing this over a little bit and just thinking about the prominence of that lot. And it's a corner lot. We have two front-facing facades, essentially. But one's just, as far as what's being presented here, is not a front-facing facade. It's kind of the back side of a building that's now facing a primary corridor.
Referring to the one along 96th Street.
Yes. And it's a long, massive wall. It's not just, yeah, I mean, you've got windows, up high along the east-facing facade. Is that a possibility to get similar window treatments along the 96th Street corridor?
Yeah, if they're required, we can work with the town to figure something out. We don't always love windows just because they have to be cleaned, their maintenance. And usually when we do like a clear story window or a transom window, it's not easy. It's almost impossible for the store staff to clean them. So that means we're bringing somebody out with a lift to clean them. Is there another type of architectural detail that the town would like to see for that kind of relief? Columns, raised, features, different stonework or landscaping?
Well, they could be faux windows, meaning that, it's really is a facade, but we do see that. I think Lowe's and Carmel, other places have those types of treatments. I don't know if that helps you or not for the window cleaning or not. That would be ideal. But the second thing that communities ask for is three-dimensional relief. So instead of it being one solid plane, is to have it bump out, say, 3 feet for a third of that space. So the middle third bumps out 3 feet, and so it creates some architectural relief instead of it being a solid wall. But ideally, the windows or landscaping along that facade
I was going to note this graphic just to help maybe illustrate, and I'm not suggesting it's a one-for-one alternative, but you'll notice all the trees that we have planted there along the 96th Street edge of now I get that, February, those aren't going to be full of foliage, but there is some landscaping in that area, and you'll also notice the amount of space that we had to kind of shoehorn this in some ways was difficult, and that's not just because of the use, it's the setbacks that were predefined looking at this lot. So we've set the building back as far as we can intentionally, and there is some space between the sidewalk and the face of building, but it's about 4 to 5 feet, so it's fairly limited along that edge.
You can't get anything tall there to offset the height of the building.
Right.
You know, for the retail space, I'd love to see the windows being there, and the warehouse side, you know, it could be without the windows.
Kind of artwork or anything on the outside that would also accomplish that? I don't have a good display of it right now, but.
Artwork's pretty hard to maintain as well, if it's murals, that kind of stuff. I mean, you could have a conversation with an architect and see what they can come up with if windows are something that you're dramatically opposed to. But because you don't have a lot of space there, adding the windows instead of a bump out certainly seems to me the best option. But
We certainly have a couple options, and obviously this isn't the first time that we've encountered this, architectural request. So I'm confident that we can find something that the town agrees with and still meets our needs as well. So it's just, I think it's a matter of, if we need to bring that back to the committee, or if we can come to that agreement after the fact.
So would you be willing to accept working with staff on that one? Or do you want to?
I would like to have them come back with that architectural drawing for us to look at. Again, if this were not a prominent corner,
I get it, I understand.
it wasn't a gateway to our community, I would have different feelings about it. But it's a corner, it's a gateway, it's prominent, but we should do it right.
Yeah, if I could just ask that, I think we tried to follow all the guidelines that we were provided, so we walked in feeling like that we met the requirements. So if we did need to come back, we'd like a really clear understanding of what the committee would like to see before we bring a drawing back, just so that we make sure that we get it right the next time. And if that's clearly windows or only windows or some combination, if we could just have some guidance, that would be my preference.
I think we could approve it tonight if you can make a commitment for windows. That would be easy. 4 windows across that. Just the duplicates of what you've got there on the east-facing facade.
Would those be faux windows you're referring to?
They could be faux or real. I'd be fine with either one.
Dimensions or specific sizes,
Just duplicating what's on the front facade facing to the east, that size. It looks like they're, are you doing stand-in-place concrete panels?
correct, yeah.
So-
And the other reason I ask is the fixtures inside the store. Obviously, we don't want windows low enough that they interfere with the fixtures or vice versa. So we like the height of those windows, so they're above the 90-inch fixture mark, so those clear stories or transom windows work the best, especially on that side elevation. But if that's a requirement of 4 windows along the side, we can easily commit to making sure that happens.
Brad, do you believe 4 is enough? I mean, this is you have a
Yeah,
relief in the,
Let's look at that facade.
because there's a relief in that east-facing facade that isn't present in the south-facing facade.
Looks like to me like it's 6 to get over to the sign.
Certainly, we'd be happy to make the sign larger. Just throwing that out there.
Unfortunately,
if
we're
that's
not
what you're
approving
asking
the
for.
signs.
Man is thinking.
Well played, well played.
Good point as far as, 4 is probably not enough for that side. 6 would be probably the right number that gets you over to it kind of covers the retail space, gets you over to the sign.
Do you know on that elevation, the south elevation, about how far back the retail goes? Does it go to where like that 6 is, to the right of the sign? Okay.
Probably about a 60-40 split,
Right about where that
maybe
wall is right
65.
there.
Okay.
So I think that sign's about centered, so it's probably, I'm gonna guess it's probably about right here.
On south, okay.
So I would make a motion if we have a commitment for 6 windows on that. I mean, it's going to be the exact same stand-in-place concrete panel that would be on the front. So they would just be doing 6 more of those instead of solid panels.
You said either real or faux.
Real or faux. They could be faux. Faux means glass.
Right.
But not,
Yeah,
yeah,
understand.
yeah. Otherwise, I would continue it and have them talk to an architect, take a look at it.
If that's the only request, that's the only suggestion, we'd be happy to work with the committee to get that done. And you have our commitment to change that elevation.
All right, I would
Personally,
move.
I'd like to get it wrapped up this time.
Yeah.
so.
I would move the docket 2025-32-DP development plan approval for the 14,342 square foot Goodwill retail store associated with the site amenities located on Lot 7 of Northwest Technology Center subdivision be conditionally approved based on the findings in the staff report and staff recommendations, submitted findings of fact, subject to resolution of outstanding review items identified by the Department of Public Works, comment letter Exhibit 5, and any noted during the meeting, and accepting of the commitment for 6 additional faux or real windows along the south-facing facade for the retail space.
And native Indian.
Oh, and to substitute the ginkgos for any other native canopy tree. Thank you.
Second.
If I could just ask for clarification, in your motion, you said the 6 windows for the retail space. Do you mean the entire width or just the
Yeah,
retail
it's
space?
6 windows, but it's more or less that 60%.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
The eastmost part of that facade.
Second,
Yeah, Kendall.
any further discussion? Mike, would you please take roll?
Brad Johnson,
Aye.
Kendrick Davis,
Aye.
Josh Fedor,
Aye.
David Franz,
Aye.
Jim Hurst,
Aye.
Nick Plopper.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, we have a pair of petitions. We'll take them together. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Dockets number 2025-33 PPA and dockets number 2025-34 DP. EA Land Holdings LLC, Creekside Corporate Park, Lot 7 and 8, 10870 Creek Way, Zionsville, Indiana. The PPA's primary plat amendment to combine the recorded Lot 7 and 8 of Creekside Corporate Park into a single lot being zoned planned unit development, Creekside PUD. And the DP is development plan for a 45,000 square foot building, including office space and shop storage area on a 3.35 acres being in the planned unit development, Creekside Corporate Park PUD districts. Jody?
Yes, thank you. Here is the subject site, Creekside Park. The PUD is in this area here. This is Creek Way, 106th Street, 106th Street. The 2 parcels in question are here, lots 7 and 8. The primary plat amendment is simply to combine both of those parcels into one. And the zoning here, again, Creekside PUD, surrounded by a variety of zoning districts. The primary plat, again, pretty straightforward. It's at the end of the Creekway cul-de-sac. Lots 7 and 8, as they exist, are here, and then they're going to combine them into one. So that's the primary plat amendment. The development plan would then place a 45,000 square foot motorsport building on the site. Motorsports are a permitted use within the Creekside PUD. The property then would enter from Creekway. There is also an entrance access point at the end of the cul-de-sac. They will be installing the perimeter sidewalk. Parking and maneuvering is in the rear here. This elevation are the loading docks to get the cars in and out. And trash is handled here in this corner. The landscaping, you can see the perimeter landscaping and parking landscaping, and then there is landscaping, foundation landscaping along the eastern facade and trees and shrubs along this northern facade as well. They've also put a hedgerow and some trees to help mitigate the impact of the loading spaces on that facade to the neighbors. And here's a copy of the architecture, what they propose to do for that, the drawings, and then some architectural renderings showing what that building will look like. It's closer to this darker charcoal color than the light gray, but I will say part of the Creekside PUD requires approval from the Creekside Architectural Review Committee for the building architecture and the landscaping. The petitioner met with that committee a couple of times, revised some plans, added some landscaping, added some elements to the building architecture, added some wainscoting along the long facades, and then received the letter you have in your packet was a conditional approval letter from the Creekside Review Board, but they have satisfied all of those conditions. So again, the architecture and the landscaping is the purview of that Architectural Review Committee, and they did receive approval, did everything they asked. There are a couple of technical issues, again, that came out through TAC from Building and Fire, Fire and DPW, and so we're asking for conditional approval of the development plan at this point. I'm happy to answer questions or turn it over to the petitioner for more, and I will just say that, again, this is 2 petitions, so the primary plan amendment comes first, and then the development plan. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Petitioner present, please introduce yourself, and if you have anything to add.
Yep. Daniel Taylor with Alderson Commercial Group. We're the design builder. Jody described the project well. Our design team's here, the engineer and architect, so answer any questions you may have.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to comment on this matter? All right, I'll open up to members of the Plan Commission.
Jody, is Denise Pierce on the Architectural Review Committee?
No.
She's not. Did she comment at all?
No.
Okay.
There's nothing else. Is there a motion on this one? Or motions on this one for the PPA, primary plat, and then the development plan?
I move that docket number 2025-33-PPA approval of a primary plat amendment to combine existing lots 7 and 8 into a single lot be conditionally approved based on the findings in the staff report, staff recommendation, and submitted findings of fact as presented and with resolution of staff comments.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Mike, would you please take roll?
Hendrick Davis.
Aye.
Nick Plopper.
Aye.
Andrew Cossack.
Aye.
Brad Johnson.
Aye.
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
David Franz.
Aye.
Josh Fedor.
Aye.
All right, that is approved 7-0. On to the development plan.
I move that docket number 2025-34-DP Development Plan for a 45,000 square foot building, including office space and shop storage area in the Creekside Corporate Park, be conditionally approved on the findings in the staff report and staff recommendations, submitted findings of fact, subject to resolution of outstanding review items identified by the DPW and fire comment letters, Exhibit 5, and any noted during the meeting.
For a second.
Second. That was Andrew.
Oh, yeah.
Any further comments, discussion? If not, Mike, would you please take roll?
Nick Plopper.
Aye.
Andrew Cossack.
Aye.
Kendrick Davis.
Aye.
Josh Fedor.
Aye.
David Franz.
Aye.
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
Brad Johnson.
Aye.
All right, that motion also carries 7-0. Thank you very much. All right, last new business, 2025-35DP, Aaron Springhetti, Dentist Office, 3710 Marketplace Drive, Zionsville, Indiana, development plan for a 7,180 square foot medical office building, dentistry on a 1.2 acre site, Lot C of Section 7 in Holiday Farms being in the planned unit development Holiday Farms PUD district. Roger?
Thank you. As mentioned, the petition before you is a development plan for 7,180 square foot medical office building on a 1.2 acre site. The site is known as Lot C of Section 7 within the Holiday Farms PUD. Here's a matter of orientation for you. Michigan Road or US 421 along the east side of Holiday Farms. The subject site, it would be accessed off of Marketplace Drive, kind of the primary artery through the commercial aspect of Holiday Farms. Just to the northeast of the site is the Starbucks, which has been constructed. North of the site is Kitty Academy. The lot immediately to the north of the subject site is undeveloped at this time, as are the sites to the south and directly to the east. Moving on to the zoning map, again, this depicts that not only the subject site, but all the surrounding properties are within our zone PUD, that's within the Holiday Farms PUD. The site would be accessed via a drive from Marketplace Drive, which is shared with Lot B to the north of the subject site. I'm going to go back one just to show, because these access points off of Marketplace Drive have already been installed. You can see how this one drive extending off of that would provide access to the subject site and then also the site to the north. There is a blanket easement within Holiday Farms to permit cross-access for these commercial lots, not only on the shared access, but also for pathway or driveway behind the to-be-constructed buildings. Now, you can see that better depicted here, how this drive would span across the entirety of Lot C, and it would be joined by a drive when this site is developed. It too would have a similar drive. And again, there's a blanket easement permitting that throughout this commercial section of Holiday Farms. Street trees are located within the main pathway here along the front of the building along Marketplace Drive. Pedestrian access to and through the site is provided by on-site sidewalks, provides access from the building from the perimeter park pathway. On-site perimeter, parking lot, and screening landscaping are also provided. Here's a shot of the proposed landscape plan, and again, this does comply with requirements of the PUD. The proposed building. The architectural requirements are included within the Holiday Farms PUD ordinance. The petitioner submitted these building elevations, which note the exterior building materials to include 2 different colors of brick veneer, areas of stone veneer, and accents of wood siding. The flat-roofed building includes a parapet to screen any roof-mounted mechanical equipment. The building's massing and materials meet the text of the ordinance, of the PUD ordinance, although the architectural style may not exactly match the character imagery provided within the ordinance. The petitioner has submitted a letter from the Holiday Farms Architectural Review Board stating their support of the building's architecture. Staff supports conditional approval of the proposed development plan subject to the resolution of the remaining outstanding review items identified in comment letters from different departments. The remaining items are minor in scope, which is why we are comfortable still moving forward with a conditional approval. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Roger.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had one more slide.
Sure.
Trash enclosure depiction has also been provided to show that the materials for it will be matching that of the building itself.
Was that just for Josh?
No, I'm paying homage to an old member of ours.
I was gonna say, good job, Larry.
All right, thank you. Petitioner President, would you like to add anything?
Excuse me. Good evening. My name is Brad Sheff with Y Engineers, and then also with me is Dr. Aaron Springhetti. We're here to answer any questions you may have. Appreciate the staff report. That was well read, well documented. And just to make light, I want to say that we're not proposing ginkgos along the street side landscape. I'm going to take that back to the office. We'll discuss that internally as well. So we won't do that here in the town. So we'll be here for any questions. And sorry, I forgot to introduce. We also have Charlie Hill. He's going to be the operations behind the construction of this once we are respectfully approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the public who'd like to comment on this online? Nope. All right, members of the Planning Commission, open it up to you.
I just have one question. The Acorn lights in the parking lot, are those down, are they required to be down lighting?
They,
I mean, we're right next to residential, so light spillage, I understand we've got a photometric plan there as well, and there's lots of landscaping, but I just didn't think those were approved here.
there has been a consistent lighting fixture used within Holiday Farms, and this is consistent with that.
Okay.
There have been a question or two raised by some neighbors at times about the shielding of that. We've made Henke Development aware of those questions, and the responsibility is on them to have them appropriately shielded. But again, the lighting fixtures are consistent with that, which has been previously approved and is utilized.
So that's been approved in the public right-of-way, but not specifically on individual sites, or both?
On both,
Okay.
on individual sites.
I don't love them just because of the skyward spilling of light. We've got an airport nearby as well. But other than that, the architecture looks fantastic. The site looks great. No issues.
You know, I'm just curious, did any of the homeowners along the back property, did they reach out, have any questions? I'm just kind of curious.
They did not.
Okay.
When we did start this development, we reached out to Henke Development and asked them what specific requirements that we were going to be up against with that residential neighbor to the west. And we were advised outside of the ordinance, there's going to be a berm that has to be put back there along the back property line, which when we completed our survey, we noticed that that berm is already back, but it's on the side, the subject parcel already. It's about 4 feet in height. So we were advised to provide basically two rows of evergreens, trees, not shrubs, along the back property line, in addition to the required landscape elements. So we kind of went above and beyond with that back screening with the all purposes in mind to screen everything is up the front of the site from the back of the site from the residential property.
I remember when we did the kiddie daycare, the parking lot was a lot closer to that homeowner because the way that it kind of narrows up as you go further. It looks like they're about 100 feet away from the parking lot on this one, so I was just kind of curious if there was anybody who reached out, but that's fine. Thanks. Anybody else, any questions?
Let's circle back to the lighting real quick. I mean, this architecture is very modern, looks super nice. And even the lighting that's on the back of the building that's mounted on the walls looks very modern. Is there a reason why the Acorn lights were chosen? Out of everything on the site, that's the one thing that doesn't really...
Oh, you've got to... You can come up and answer, but you just have to be up at the podium so we can get it on record.
Yeah, those were the lights that were required by Hankey.
Okay. Maybe we need to have a conversation with them. Okay, that's fair enough. Doesn't sound like we can modify that.
I mean, we'd love to modify it. We're not fans of the lights either, but that's that's our only option, so.
Anything else on this one? If not, is there a motion on this matter?
I would move the docket number 2024-35-DP development plan for a 7,180 square foot medical office building dentistry on a 1.2 acre site, Lot C of Section 7 in Holiday Farms, be conditionally approved based on the findings in the staff report and the staff recommendations, submitted findings of fact, final sign plan submitted for staff review and approval, and subject to resolution of outstanding review items identified by the comment letters Exhibit 5C.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Mike, would you please take roll?
Brad Johnson.
Aye.
Jim Hurst.
Aye.
Andrew Cossack.
Aye.
Nick Plopper.
Aye.
David Franz.
Aye.
Josh Fedor.
Aye.
Kendrick Davis.
Aye.
All right, motion's approved. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. All right, let's see, we've got other matters at this point, it looks like. So, other matter, a big one is the June 16th Plan Commission meeting. We currently would not have a quorum with people out of town.
Wait, before we get that far, everyone's out of town and cannot log on and be on.
I'm in Europe.
No, I'm just,
Yeah,
I know you
yeah.
said earlier,
And he's in Europe, and I tried once to get in from Europe, and
it doesn't work, I understand. I
And
understand.
I'm not gonna try.
I just didn't know if, when they said they were out of town, if it was something where they could remote in or not, so.
So, what's the notice requirement on this? When does that notice requirement go out, Mike?
Minimum of 10 days public notice.
14 days.
14,
days.
thank you.
So if we change the date, we just have to make sure notice is 14-day notice. And then we have to check, do we know availability of this room?
We don't.
I would have to plug in a date to see if it's available.
I'm available, well, I mean, I'll say, I'll let you know what I'm looking at. I'm available June 18th, 19th, or,
The 19th is a holiday.
okay, 18th, or let's look at the next week, the 23rd, 24th. I think anytime next week works for me. What about everybody else? If we looked at,
For dates after, the first date I would be available is the 25th. But I am only one of your missing folks.
For me, that's the 24th on, I'm fine.
24th.
24th,
25th.
24th or later, I'm fine.
Let's look at the 25th. What about everybody else on the 25th?
I could do the 25th, yeah.
I'm available.
I'm good.
Check that, Roger.
Start over.
While we're looking into that, could someone remind me what subcommittee rules are? Just as a, for instance, if we wanted to further study the outdoor seating for Dairy Queen, which.
Maximum
that's-
3 people.
Okay, but does it still have to be a public meeting?
There has to be public notice.
There has to be public notice, because
Yes.
we did the architectural review committee for the Ducati building. And I mean, we had to do it here, a public notice, but not necessarily a public meeting. Okay.
But you can only have 3 for the open.
Well, I just did,
Yeah.
I was asked a question the other day, and I wasn't sure of the answer.
I think the open door law still would apply. So even though it's a,
But you can only have 3 members of the
That's why you
plan
only have
commission.
3.
Yeah, that's why you can only have 3.
Plan commission.
okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not technically a meeting under state law.
okay, thank you.
If we formally form it as a subcommittee, though, doesn't it become a new committee? I used to be the public access counselor, but it's been 15 years, so it may be worth checking.
Yeah.
I think if it's a minority without
Without a
charging
formal
it
committee.
as a subcommittee, then it's
Right.
not a quorum. But if we say we're forming a subcommittee for this purpose, then the open door law applies.
So
I think.
let's say a big hairy proposal was in front of us, and we wanted to make sure we dug in deep in preparation for the next meeting, so that when we pass something on to town council, they might have more faith in what we've looked at. Would that then be a public meeting, because it's a subcommittee? I mean, I'm
In the
a little
past-
lost in the vocabulary here.
And in the past, when we've done that, we have, asked for a subcommittee during the meeting. And we get volunteers, typically 3. And then after that, they've always arranged the meetings and those sorts of things. So I don't know what the commitments beyond that are. So I'm trusting that we handled those properly in the past.
I'll defer to the council who's read the open door law probably more recently than I, but that was my.
Yeah, if it's formally constituted, is set up in a formal committee, but if it's an informal gathering for 3 of you to discuss that and report back to the plan commission, then I believe that the open door law does not apply, because it's not a meeting of the plan commission, a majority of the members.
And therefore, public notices would not be required of that.
Public notice is not required, but I think in the past, we've always done it. That's been my understanding.
As a precaution, or as a?
As a
It's been
precaution.
a while since when's the last time? We did it for the Ducati, but
That's been a
2,
while.
3 years ago? That's a while.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago. If we could, let's be confident in our answer,
Yeah.
because I was asked to think about some of that.
Okay.
Is it a particular issue?
No, not a particular issue wasn't suggested.
Okay.
A process was suggested.
Process. Gotcha.
So do you want a formal response in writing on this? Is that a definitive answer?
Forgive me, I just want more than I think so.
Yeah.
Yes. Sure.
Is it in our rules of procedure?
I don't know if we
Typically,
specifically
that's-
mentioned subcommittees in it.
I think it is, but I don't.
I think the open door law would govern on
about an executive session compared to a subcommittee meeting?
Executive
Is there a
session, you have
difference?
to
Executive
notice,
session's a
but
whole
it's
nother
not
ballgame.
open.
Yeah, it's closed, but it has to be about.
Therefore, how about we get a definitive answer from our legal counsel, within a few days on this question? Okay.
We can do that.
Is that open on the 25th?
This room is available on Wednesday evening, June 25th.
Go ahead and book that.
Same time?
Same time.
All right.
Therefore, cancel the meeting on the 16th?
I will do that.
Okay.
Notify all petitioners of this change also.
And then, so if business comes before us and it gets continued to the next month, which is August, I think we'd still be 20-plus days apart, so the notice, we could still make notice on that meeting. Okay. All right. Anything else?
It's came up twice tonight, came up once last month. Native trees. Do we want to look at changing language that, frankly, if it comes to us and it doesn't, it's one of those conditions I think I'm going to look at trying to add to anything moving forward. Can we encourage developers to stick with native trees? I'm just looking at like.
Do we want to officially change the zoning?
No, I'm not, no. Bradford pears 15 years ago, they told everyone to plant them. Now it's an invasive species that the state's trying to eradicate, so.
We do sort of want to burn the current zoning ordinance completely and start all over from scratch. So yes, we can certainly modify language. Of course, that's going to be a text amendment. What's in the
Just
zoning.
something to look at.
Right, what's in the zoning ordinance is a really, 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 really old, here's your list of tree species to choose from, which includes Bradford pear. And so we have that list. The Parks Department also has a couple of lists, which staff has used in the past with petitioners saying, hey, we know the zoning ordinance says this, but we also have some other recommended tree species. So if you wouldn't mind, choose from that. So we do have those conversations, and some do. And then, of course, the school of thought with whatever landscape architect is doing their design is like, ginkgo is a perfectly fine tree. I'm like, yes, I agree, but. So, and maple's overplanted, so why would we use only maple? So there are those conversations that also occur.
And so it's just something that seems to be trending, it's popping up, so.
Ginkgo is a unique tree in that they have male and female. I don't know how you tell. Sure, somebody that works at a nursery probably knows how to tell, but the fruit from the female trees smells like vomit. I've walked past trees in parks, and it's horrible. If you get a male species tree, then they're fine. But they're not native to anywhere in North America at all. So it's not even an Indiana thing, it's a North America thing. They're a lovely tree in some ways, but you do have to get you don't want seeds growing up randomly, because you're going to get a mix of male and female trees, and it's pretty bad.
So we want to stick with staff advising them towards other trees?
I think that's a great idea right now.
Or male ginkgos, it sounds like. Or male ginkgos. would be
Yes, if
acceptable.
they very specifically state that it should be fine, but
It certainly sounds like any petitioner that doesn't do it is going to hear from the planning commission about it.
yeah, native Indiana trees, there's a lot of trees native to Indiana, so it's not like they have a really small selection.
I try to stay away from black walnuts, though.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, they poison the ground.
Anything else? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.